Going to be going over some tips for new Honda Ruckus owners. The tips that I'm going to give you are a few quick ones, but it'll actually help make the bike faster from the factory, believe it or not. The model that we have here is a 2013, but it shouldn't matter whether you have one of the first models or one of the newest ones. And this is something you should check regardless whether you're buying the bike new or used. One thing to check is it's notorious that Honda overfills the actual oil level on these guys. So I just made it to level, and this is about how much I took out here, if you can see it. It's not a huge amount, but it's definitely enough because when you put the dipstick in, which is going to be on this side of the Ruckus, it's kind of hard to see, but it's going to be right here next to your radiator. You unscrew this, and it takes about, probably about 2 turns to come out. Clean it off, put it in, but don't screw it in. Just sit it in flush, and then pull it out and look at your oil level that way. That's for what you basically want to do to check the oil on these, and you don't want it going past the end of the hash marks. You've got at the very end of the dipstick is the lowest, and at the the top of the dipstick where the hash marks are is the highest. You want it in between there. I'd say between like say 3/4 and like 7/8 full is usually the recommended level for any type of vehicle, whether it's a car, scooter, motorcycle, etc. But you'll notice that it's overfilled from the factory, so you want to bring that to the correct level before you put any major mileage on it. Because one thing engines don't like is too much oil or too little oil, so you definitely want to optimize that. The other thing you want to check is a very simple thing. These are the factory Kenda tires that come on the vehicle, so you want to make sure that your PSI is adequate because you don't know how long it's been sitting, if it's been on display out in the sun, and the temperature changes do affect the PSI in the tires. If it's just natural air going into it versus like a nitrogen, which doesn't change density based on the temperature outside the ambient temperature. So if you're just using regular air, you want to make sure that you check those out. The other few things that you could do on the Ruckus itself, as far as like some simple factory modifications, are going to be things like that I'm looking into right now. As far as the start of it, which is lowering the seat frame. Basically, you can either lower the factory one. The smarter idea is to keep the factory one as is, just set it aside and buy one of the lowered ones, either by NCY or there's a few other options out there. And then along with lowering the seat, you'd probably also want to lower the handlebars as well. There's a few ways of doing it, but for the most part, you can either get a replacement stem. You could even use a BMX style stem and BMX style 7/8 inch handlebars. But I'm probably going to be running, a stem that's specific for the Ruckus, because if you notice here, this cap comes off. It's got a bolt that goes through, and that helps you center the actual stem that's on there. So I've also seen people take this factory setup here, cut this across, and weld on a new handlebar, just the way that Honda did it. So, I mean, that's an option too, just something shorter to give you an overall lower center of gravity. Might improve the handling on it, that's what I'm thinking. Just like any bike, if you have these hoopty handlebars on it and a tall seat post, or at least the adjustment on your seat post on it, you're not going to be the best when it comes to turns and things of that sort. And I want this thing to perform better than factory. So yeah, other than that, for all you new Ruckus owners out there, I hope this video was educational and helped you out. And feel free to leave any comments, questions, as you can. But for right now, this thing's 100% factory, and it's not going to be staying this way for long. Alright, thanks again for watching, and make sure you subscribe and like the video. Thanks.